Hey everyone, today's a very special kind of day that only comes around once a year. Well, maybe once a day for some people, maybe twice a day for some people. Well, for some people it might be good 2 times in the morning, 2 times at night, 2 times in the afternoon if it feels alright. And on today's auspicious occasion, I wanted to talk about some of the best and greatest games to play on the 20th of April. And because it is the season to know your buds, I've invited some of the kindest buds that I personally know on to talk about their favorite games to play. And perhaps they can help alter your perceptions of some of these incredible games, and maybe even expand your mind to better complement your state of well-being.
Oh, a message from SuperDerek. Okay. He wants me to do this? No, not this one, not this one, not this one. Oh, Quest 64. No, not today. Oh, not this one. No. Well, let's get this TV turned on. Power on. Let's throw the cartridge in, flip the power on. Here's our controller. And now to unwind about 900 feet of cable. I can't believe they made them this long. It's been so long since I played this game. Plays a little bit different than I remember. There's just so much going on in my head right now. I should take a drive. Man, there's just so much pressure when SuperDerek asks you to do a collab video. I mean, there's a lot at stake. Might just listen to his theme song for a little bit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play the game for 1 hour, then come up with a comprehensive review to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. That's probably what most people do anyway. That's right. Everything these days is about perception. Nobody's really that good looking in real life anyway. Unless... Now, how should I prepare? Should I shave my beard to look like Derek? Should I do his signature thoughtful and thought-provoking hairstyle? Let's be original. Let's just wear his shirt. Don't want to mess up the beard. Let's just be me. Okay. Hype responsibly. All right, we got this. Hey everybody, Eric here, and thank you so much, SuperDerek, for asking me to come on today and chat about one of my most favorite JRPGs of all time and the best game I could recommend for you to play on today's holiday, 420. So being on a JRPG-centric channel with the thoughtful and thought-provoking JRPG king himself, of course I'm going to have to discuss one of the finest JRPGs of the Super Nintendo era. You're probably thinking, oh, he's going to say, you know, Chrono Trigger or EarthBound or Final Fantasy VI or Super Mario RPG. No. Forget what you know about the JRPG, because we're going deep, baby. We're going real deep. We're talking Secret of Mana.
It's like the cutest game ever. I love Secret of Mana. You have that sprite. You know, like he bobbles his head back and forth and everything else whenever he does his little tiny laugh, and he's so cute.
It was released for the Super Nintendo back in 1993 in both Japan and North America.
It's for the Super Nintendo, but I have a Game Boy shirt on right now, which is cute too. It's not as cute as a sprite.
It's an action RPG developed by Squaresoft back before they were acquired by those squares at Enix. And this was back during the slow ramp up to the golden era of JRPGs on the Super Nintendo that led into the PlayStation era of RPGs, which is arguably the time when the foundations of the genre were truly being set in stone. A foundational period of designers who were still kind of figuring things out, experimenting with the formula, throwing wild ideas at the wall to see which ones were icky and which ones were sticky enough to stick around.
The last element that you get is Dryad, and it's a tree. It's an earth element, and it's a tree, and it's like flowers. And there's a sleep flower spell. Like, we all know what the sleep flower spell is. We do.
How else could we have ended up with games like EarthBound later on that could feature the yellow submarine and psychedelic backgrounds that were starting off against hippies and drinking strange magical teas? I mean, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, man, is where art was artful and where the Nintendo was truly super. Which isn't to say that games on the Nintendo Entertainment System were any less of an entertaining system, if you know what I mean. The Entertainment System was a very entertaining system and saved me and my childhood from an endless sea of boredom and its incredible library of games. I mean, even Super Mario was hitting the leaf back on the Nintendo Entertainment System, growing that Tanuki tail. But RPGs are really just more my thing, you know, and Dragon Quest on the NES is really where it all kind of began. On the NES. So technically some people say this wasn't the first Japanese style RPG, which some people say isn't even a thing anymore. I don't know. I actually found out that there was this forum thread back in the 90s where some people were extolling the virtues of most RPGs. It got archived by Google. You can still read through some of it. It was pretty awesome to see so many people who just loved the genre even back in 92, back when Dragon Warrior 3 had just come out, you know? But I guess Final Fantasy IV, also known as Final Fantasy II here in the United States, it came out on the Super Nintendo in late 91, so I guess people who were already had the Super Nintendo and the internet back in the day were able to talk about how cool these games were, and just back before the internet changed everything, man. This was back before it was everywhere. You had to ask your mom and dad not to use the phone so you could connect to your friends on message boards back in 1992. This was back before the Super Nintendo even had games like Secret of Mana on it, and like, Secret of Mana was such a perfect game, especially for a day like today.
Because Secret of Mana is like fanciful, and it's nice, and it's fun. And there's a desert, and there's a forest, and the forest has 4 seasons. You know what else has 4 seasons? Frankie Valli and the 4 Seasons. I like Frankie Valli and the 4 Seasons. I've been told that I like barbershop quartets, but Frankie Valli, he's a really good singer, and I like him, but he's not in Secret of Mana.
But you know what is in Secret of Mana? Dragons. There's dragons in Secret of Mana.
Dragons are my favorite. Like the little white dragon, and he flies around the world, and he saves the world, and he can fight the monsters with whatever weapons you want to. If you want to use a sword, use a sword. If you want to use a spear or something, you can do that. You can throw a javelin, you can hit him with the whip, but you know what? If you use the whip, you should use the girl, because you want a girl dominatrix with the whip and the heels and the leather. She could do up her hair, like her hair. She'd do it up, and she'll whip ya, because you deserve it.
What's up, everyone? Alex here, and I'm here to talk about Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 was quite a surprise when it came out, because for one, we didn't really know the extent of how it was going to be improved from the original, especially since the original came out so long ago. But when I finally started playing Psychonauts 2, I actually played it from beginning to end, and I couldn't stop playing it. There was an inevitable charm that this game had that the original also had, but with this one, it got amplified to like 110%. The platforming was much more solid and responsive. The worlds are trippy, vibrant, and psychedelic. And the story, of course, is kooky. This was one of those games that I totally wish that I actually had time to review on my channel, but I absolutely couldn't. Because for one, it's not an RPG, and two, I was still playing it because I wanted to 100% the whole thing. And so, if you're looking for a game to play on 420, I highly recommend checking out Psychonauts 2.
Having nothing to do with anything at all at this point, I just wanted to take a minute and talk about my top 4 RPGs featuring medicinal herbs. Dragon Quest brings the classic medicinal herb, a staple of the series. This handy herb restores a modest amount of HP, making it essential for those early game moments when you really are just kind of starting out. And as you progress, it may not pack the same punch as stronger healing items, but it's still a reliable and affordable option to have in your inventory. Golden Sun's answer to healing items is also the humble herb. This green miracle restores about 50 HP, making it an indispensable asset in the early to mid game. Shining Forest presents the healing seed, a powerful curative item with the ability to restore 50 HP to a single ally. But we don't do seeds here, so instead, let's switch to the Medical Herb, a simple yet effective healing item that restores about 10 HP to a single ally. While it may not be the most powerful option, the Medical Herb's affordability and availability make it a staple for players throughout the game. A practical choice for those seeking a reliable way to keep their characters healthy. And Secret of Mana offers the Medical Herb, an invaluable item that cures poison. This often overlooked herb can save your characters a slow and painful demise. Its ability to cleanse the body of toxins make it an essential tool for adventurers exploring dangerous environments filled with poisonous creatures like mushrooms. Oh man, I forgot Secret of Mana had mushrooms in it.
They have these little mushroom guys in Secret of Mana, and they're so cute. They live in Matango, and it's like part of the Great Forest, but it's not, and it's like shaded because they're mushrooms, and mushrooms need like shade and moisture and stuff, and it's just so cute. And then the mushrooms gives you Flammy with the dragon, and then the boy goes and he rides the dragon, which is fun, and the dragon is a mana beast, and so is the sprite, and the sprite is fun, and he's cute, and he has a bobblehead. Did I tell you he has a bobblehead already? I love the sprite. And you know what else? The bosses, they think that these bosses are hard. The bosses aren't hard, because the sprite has magic.
Speaking of Secret of Mana, one of my favorite parts of the game is how there's this couple of different ways that you can actually get one of your party members. Did you know that there's 2 ways to get Prim to join you? There's the easy way and the hard way. The hard way is to just go straight into the creepy forest by yourself. Prepare for one of the hardest boss fights of the game though, because if you do this, you've got to fight 2 super strong kickboxing werewolves by yourself, as Prim just sort of sits around doing backflips whenever the werewolves get too close to her. But if you instead take a wrong turn first and end up in the wrong neighborhood, Randy, yeah, the main kid's name is
Randy. And he has like little spiky hair, and he's just adorable. He's dreamy.
He gets attacked by some goblins who try and cook him alive, but Prim saves you at the last minute. Then you can set Prim up with some different combat settings and actually have her be helpful during the fight against the Taibo Teen Wolves. Just a pro tip.
You want to use Salamando, because he's fun. And Salamando gives the girl attack magic too, gives the sprite attack magic and the girl attack magic. So whenever an enemy is weak to a magic, you use Salamando, because both the sprite and the girl can beat up the boss with Salamando, because Salamando's the best. He's the best one. He's easily the best. There's no one better than Salamando. You know who sucks? Shade. Who uses Shade? Nobody uses Shade. Shade is the worst. I like Lumina though. She's cute and she's bright.
What's going on, everyone? My name's Taylor from the channel TheGamingShelf, and I just want to thank Derek for bringing me on for this video for RPGs to play on 420, and I couldn't think of a more appropriate game than EarthBound. I mean, first of all, just look at the backgrounds for this fight. I feel like I'm tripping balls already. It feels like one of those 90s magic eye puzzles, and I could just never figure those out. I don't know about you guys. And to me, it feels like EarthBound has some of the weirdest video game enemies ever. I mean, you have like a street sign, you have these shadow bunnies, vinyl records, a gas pump, whatever this thing is. It's wild. The developers were definitely smoking some heavy doobies while working on this game. And honestly, I think Ness might just be high this entire game. I mean, look at this dog. He's clearly high. And you go to the drugstore, I mean, they're not even trying to hide anything. Oh, and I almost forgot 2 of the weirdest things in the game that I never hear anyone talk about. When you visit your home, you can go to the restroom and take a giant dump. And later on, you fight your mutated poop. Like, what the heck? In fact, you can fight your poop with poo. That's a real character in the game. And I don't know why nobody ever talks about this. It's weird. And maybe the weirdest one of all is if you visit the drugstore about halfway through the game and you look at the back shelf and look at one of the items on there, it's clearly a case for Secret of Mana. It's just sitting there, and I don't know why nobody's ever talked about it. I feel like it's an Easter egg that only I've found, but look, it's right there. It's hard to miss. So if you're looking to toke up and looking for something kind of trippy to play on 420, I don't think you can go wrong with EarthBound.
Thanks, Taylor. I remember when I first played EarthBound back in the year was 1990X, and I was just a small little kid in Onette. I remember bopping down to the arcade every Saturday, grabbing a slice of that mock pizza down the street before crashing at my own seaside pad with the most beautiful view of the ocean that you've ever seen, and some dude to just play out this melodious saxophone tune across the universe and into the great open seas. So, like, what I've been thinking is Lord of the Rings is the biggest influence on what we think of when it comes to fantasy elements of pop culture. Sure, there's a lot of really talented authors out there who came before and after Tolkien, but undoubtedly this guy's works were foundational to the way we envision medieval fantasy today, the way that like Dragon Quest founded the console-based RPGs made in Japan. And if you don't think those influences from Tolkien could be felt in JRPGs today, then I don't know what to tell you. Because you know who made the very first ever role-playing games? They were the combat sims made by a bunch of nerds who loved warfare games and also Lord of the Rings. That's where RPG started, man. And the huge part of it was like inspired by this reprinting of the Lord of the Rings books back in the late 60s. That's around when Led Zeppelin helped make Lord of the Rings even cooler than it already was, with songs like Ramble On and the Battle of Evermore, making direct references to Gollum and ring wraiths. Heck, even the Misty Mountain Hop, the Battle of Evermore, speaking of that, reminds me of the Secret of Evermore, which is in turn inspired by the Secret of Mana. Man, it's all interconnected, dudes. That's what it's about. It's too bad that Secret of Mana didn't have Vince, though, you know?
Did you guys know that Secret of Mana was supposed to be like a really, really big game? But like, they like have this cut content. They didn't do it. And it's like once you get Flammy, it kind of falls off. Because it's like it takes forever to get the first 4 elements. And then they give you the other 4 elements super quick after you get Flammy, the mana beast who you ride around. He's so cute. He's the cutest. I love Flammy. He's totes adorbs. Everybody loves Flammy. Nobody doesn't like Flammy. He's the best. And that's why you need to play Secret of Mana on 420. Because of Flammy. Do it for Flammy.